appropriate and good giveaway. So if we will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Elaine, if you'll lead us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Who is that cute little voice?
So cute.
Go back there. Oh, you turn it over to me. Can you turn over to Dr. Gentry to just acknowledge Lane?
Sure.
This man just was going to do it.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All right, it's been first and seconded. Do we have any discussion? All right, seeing none, all of those in favor of the approval of the agenda and adopting the agenda as listed, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Hello. All right, that gets us to awards and recognitions. Before we hear from Dr. Battle, I'm first going to hear from Dr. Sharon Gentry.
Hang on. Hello. We would like to, with a lot of excitement, a lot of pride, recognize Lang O. Are you here, Lang? Look at him. Just want you to know that Lang, Maplewood student, earned a 35 on his ACT. As a junior. You gotta say that part. As a junior. Junior? Him don't gotta take it again.
Oh, wow.
So Lang, if you come up here, and so we'll join you for a picture, yes? Okay, and I'm gonna hold that sign, just because. I'm gonna tell
What
you.
did you get on the ACT?
At 30, but that was before you could get it. No.
That's very good.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Hold on. Do you need one? Do you want a picture? You got it?
Yes, Mom.
Okay.
Congratulations, we are so impressed. That poster is well earned,
We're actually jealous, but we'll go with them, Brett.
right? All right, we're going to turn it over to Dr. Battle now for awards and recognitions.
Thank you so much, Chair Elrod, and good evening to everyone, to all of our board members. So last week, we wrapped up another fantastic school year in Metro Nashville Public Schools, but the celebrations, as you all know, are not over. So let's start tonight with a presentation by our Davidson County Legislative Delegation, and then we'll honor some of our top MNPS student athletes. Joining us tonight is State Senator Heidi Campbell. Senator Campbell, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Great. Should I speak here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I come bearing great accolades from the Davidson County delegation. We are so proud of our schools, Metro Nashville Public Schools. And actually, this resolution that I'm presenting to you had a little bit of a rocky path. It was presented by Representative Caleb Hammer and it was actually bumped from a consent agenda, which is an abnormal thing to happen. So I decided that I was going to go ahead in the Senate and refile it. And we were able to get it passed, and rightly so, because we are so proud of Metro Nashville Public Schools and this incredible achievement. And so I want to read it. It's brief, and I'm not going to sing it like they do in the Senate. Because I haven't mastered that yet, but I'm working on it. Senate Joint Resolution number 1285 by Senators Campbell, Oliver, and Yarbrough, and Representative Clemens. A resolution to honor and commend Metro Nashville Public Schools on being recognized as a national leader in post-pandemic academic recovery. Whereas we are pleased to specially recognize those remarkable school districts that have distinguished themselves as national leaders in the academic success of their students, and whereas Metro Nashville Public Schools was recently highlighted in the Education Recovery Scorecard, a national study of post-pandemic academic recovery, as a result of its intentional efforts to accelerate learning progress and the strong academic outcomes its educators and students have achieved. And whereas the Education Recovery Scorecard is a national report conducted by a collaboration of the Educational Opportunity Project at Stanford University, the Center for Education Policy Research at Harvard University, and Stanford Center for Education Policy Analysis, and whereas one of just two large urban districts that ranked in the top 10 in both math and reading, Metro Nashville Public Schools was ranked third in math growth and sixth in reading growth from among the top 100 districts from 2022 to 2023. And whereas among the key strategies utilized by Metro Nashville Public Schools that drew praise in the report included implementing strong evidence-based curricula in reading and math, leadership development for principals to ensure that they have what they need to be strong instructional leaders, wraparound support such as no-cost breakfast and lunch for all students, advocacy centers and peace centers for emotionally distressed students, outreach programs such as navigators and summer and weekend learning opportunities. And whereas working to address the needs of its students in the community, Metro Nashville Public Schools has utilized high-dosage tutoring through its Accelerating Scholars Program, launched MNPS Family University to enhance its family and community engagement, and expanded its Community Achieves program. And whereas this national acclaim comes on top of Metro Nashville Public Schools' recognition last year as a Level 5 TVAAS school district for the second consecutive year, thanks to the improved academic success of its students. And whereas it is highly appropriate that we applaud and recognize the outstanding commitment to excellence in education exhibited by Director of Schools Dr. Adrian Battle and the administration, teachers, and students of Metro Nashville Public Schools, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the 113th General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, the House of Representatives concurring, that we honor and commend the administration, educators, and students of Metro Nashville Public Schools on its recognition as a national leader in post-pandemic academic recovery. Congratulations.
Please come up front. We really appreciate that recognition, and then y'all all come up too.
One, two.
I just wanted to keep this for intending to be here, but they're also doing communication. Send me the link.
Well, again, thank you, Senator Heidi Campbell, for being here. Thank you so much to all of the elected state senators and representatives for this recognition of the great work on behalf of our students, our teachers, our principals, our support staff, our families, all of our community partners, just all the collective efforts to be recognized in this post-pandemic achievement. So thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I'm sure to get it framed.
Yes, we should.
Do we put it over here to see?
All right, so that is exciting news, and we'll keep the celebrations and recognitions going. First, I'd like to recognize some individual student athletes and teams from our middle schools who have excelled in athletics this spring. They're not able to be here tonight, but I'd like to recognize our middle school boys soccer city champion, who won the championship game by outlasting their opponents through 2 rounds of penalty kicks at the end of a match that was tied 2-2. And if you follow soccer, that's tough. But let's give it up for McMurray Middle School. So again, unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight, but this was just the second year that our middle schools participated in TMSAA track and field state championships. But you wouldn't know that we were new to the competition if you saw the performances so many of our student athletes put together. So I'll go ahead and start with some individual winners as well, and then we'll move to our team recognitions. Students, as I call your name, please come up to the podium and face this very appreciative audience when I call your names, and then we'll get a photo up front. So I'm really excited for everyone to hear about this first one. 2 students and teammates from Meg's Magnet Middle School, Genesis Walker and Lauren Bridges. Y'all come on up before I... We have one of our student athletes with us, but this is what you should know. Both of them set a new state record in the 24-foot shot put with throws of the exact same distance. This is impressive. 38 feet, 5 inches.
Ooh.
After Genesis and Lauren matched each other with their longest throws, the only way to decide who was the state champion was to go by their second longest throws. That made Genesis the state champion in the shot put and Lauren the runner-up. But a runner-up who will always know that she and her teammate both set a state record at the same event. And Lauren wasn't done. She also was a TMSAA runner-up in the discus, another challenging event. So let's give it up again for both Genesis and Lauren. Okay, hang out there for just a moment because we got some friends who are going to join you, okay? Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, next we have Valencia Haley of Madison Middle School. Now, Valencia was the state runner-up in the long jump. Let's give a round of applause. All right, y'all, hang out there for just a second. Moving to our individual winners in the boys event, I'll start with Donardo Turner of East Nashville Magnet Middle School. Donardo is our new state champion in the 110-meter hurdles. And that's not all for Donardo. He also finished as a runner-up in the high jump.
Oh, cool.
Next is Dion Barnes of Rose Park Magnet Middle School. Dion finished right behind Donardo, less than 0.2 of a second behind him, in fact, as the state runner-up in the 110-meter hurdles. And let's also give it up for McKissick Middle School's Isaiah Brown. Oh, y'all are talented. Isaiah finished the meet as the state runner-up in both the 200 meters and the 400 meters. I'm a little partial to track and field, as y'all know. So the talent here, I am just impressed by. We'd love for all of our individual winners to come up on stage so we can get a photo with you so that we can continue to celebrate your awesomeness. So again, congratulations. All right, so board members, if you have a school representative, please join us. We'll get a photo first with the students, board members, and our athletic director, athletic director, Penny Howard. And then after that, if we have any school personnel or families here, we'd love to get a photo with you as well.
I threw shot put and discus. You're the best.
Get in. Did nothing. To none.
I did very tall. Was a pitch. Yeah. It's like one was throw. I was always the same.
One, two.
All right, so any school personnel, families want to come out and join the first picture, we love to have you.
It's all good. They're all we're like, oh.
You got it. Do you need a lift shoot?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's hard to fit.
No one's listening.
Mine, right?
Let's go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. All right, so congratulations again to each of the student athletes who won individual honors at our middle school state track and field championships. I have a feeling we'll be hearing each of these students' names again in the years to come. Now let's talk about some great team performances at the same event. Again, students and coaches, please come up to the podium as I call your team's name. And then afterwards, once we get everyone up, we'll take a larger photo. So let's start with our Madison Middle School girls, who are the new state champions in the 4x200 meter relay. Come on up. That's okay. Congratulations. So the Madison girls also finished as state runners-up in the 4x100 meter relay. So great job, Madison Middle School. This is why we start this early, because y'all got to get used to being in the spotlight. Your greatness. Next, we have the Rose Park Magnet Middle School boys team, which was a state runner-up in the 4x100 meter relay. Way to go, Rose Park. If you're here, come on up. It's all right, they're representing. And we have two teams that won the MNPS City Championship and then went on to big things at the state championships. The East Nashville Magnet Middle School boys won the city championship and finished as runner-up at the state meet. Go East! Congratulations. And the Meg's Magnet Middle School girls also won the city championship and then took home second place at the state championship. Come on up, Meg. All right, y'all, let's give it up one more time for these outstanding teams. We're going to get you all to come up for a quick photo. Board members, if you have a school representative, please join us. Come on, come on.
They know they're coming. Interrupting your summer break. To be here with us. Do you know where your children are? Free range, they're good. They're old enough for that.
All right, we're going to take a picture on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll do a quick second one if anybody else wants to come up and join us, school staff, families. Everything, feel free. All right, we're gonna go on the count of 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. I'm done.
Okay. We're gonna have to work on it.
All right, and finally, I'm excited to present the 2024 All Sports Award. Points that went toward the award were based on the top 4 teams in the city playoffs or city tournament for middle school sports across the 23-24 school year. Schools received 4 points for each first place finish, 3 points for each second place finish, 2 points for each third place finish, and 1 point for each fourth place. And this year's winner, do they know this already? They don't know this, do they? Do they know it already? Okay. And this year's winner with 21 points is Meg's Magnet Middle School. Congratulations. All right, y'all know we got to have you all come up front so we can take a picture. Oh, y'all gonna do it down there? Yes.
Y'all are doing great.
One, two.
So Megs will keep the All Sports Award trophy for a year, along with the plaque that will remain at the school. So congratulations again to Megs Magnet Middle. And congratulations again to all our award-winning middle school student athletes and teams, and thank you for representing MNPS so well. And don't forget that we'll be celebrating many of our high school student athletes and teams at our Breakfast of Champions on Thursday morning. And board members, we'd love to see you there. With that, Chair Elrod, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much. That was very exciting. Quite the trophy. That is a big trophy, guys. If I may have a point of privilege, since we're already recognizing some great students, I would like to turn this over to Board Member Cheryl Mays so that she can recognize our newest student board member.
Thank you, Chair Elrod. As you all are aware, we have been in the middle of conducting interviews for our new junior student school board member for a couple of months now, probably 3 or 4 months now. And as of this week, we have made a decision on our new junior student school board member who will be coming in, and of course, not replacing Elena because she's irreplaceable, but serving alongside our soon-to-be senior school board member, Christina Tran. So it is my absolute privilege and honor to introduce you all to Miss Hannah Wynn, our newest junior student school board member. That's a lot to say. Hannah, come on up. And Hannah, if you will, I will go ahead and give you just a second to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and tell them your name, where you're from, and why this is a great opportunity for you.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Wynn. I go to John Overton High School. I started school at MNPS. I plan to graduate from MNPS. It's an absolute privilege to be here. The process was amazing. These board members are amazing, and I can't wait to work alongside them and be of service to you all.
Thank you, Hannah. Yes, and Hannah, if you would have your parents come up, we would like to get a photo with you and the board members. Hannah will start her service in September after our new board takes on, is seated and we get everybody sworn in. So for now, we're just excited to have you on board, and thank you to all of our students. We have some brilliant students at MNPS, brilliant. And it was a difficult decision, but Hannah, you are amazing, and we are so excited to have you join us. So if you would come on up, and we're going to get a photo with you and all of our board members and our director of schools. She's our daughter now, too. You know, here, tuition.
All right, 1, 2.
Thank you for being here.
She said she's running late. She said she was late. Yeah.
Thank you so much to Hannah and her family for being here. Thank you for Board Member Mays for, of course, inviting her and helping us organize the process. As she said, we had some really incredible students. Such a proud moment for us to see the just different kinds of students, different important things to them, different abilities and interests. It was a great group of students to meet. But a hard decision, but we're really excited for you to start with us and do the best work going forward. So with that, we are going to now talk about the director's report. And for that, I will turn it back over to Dr. Adrienne Battle.
Thank you, Chair Elrod. Did you mention that she's an Overton Bobcat?
I mean, she is an Overton Bobcat, which is my school. And of course, your school, which you were a graduate of.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Just making sure everyone knows. Just making sure everyone knows. I don't often bring up the Bobcat stuff like everybody else does on the floor.
Thank you again, Chair Elrod. We have just completed, again, a very successful year, but the teaching and learning and achieving don't stop. Now we're getting ready to start a month of learning and enrichment activities with promising scholars for more than 18,000 students on Thursday. In a moment, we'll be hearing a presentation led by Chief of Student Support Services, Elisa Norris, about our Alternative Learning Centers, or ALCs. We did what we said we were going to do after the pandemic, set in to make sure alternative learning schools were serving our students effectively. And you have seen that we aren't done, that additional investments will be needed as a part of the aspirational budget. So the second portion of this presentation will be our aspirational redesign around our alternative learning centers. This is a perfect conversation to have at this particular meeting, as you heard at our last meeting about the amazing work that students at Johnson Learning Center are doing with their Hawks Talk podcast. I want to recognize the principals of our three ALCs, Principal Henry Johnson from W.A. Bass, Principal Myron Franklin from Johnson, and Principal Ashley Thomas from Park Avenue Elementary School, which also serves a traditional pre-K through fifth grade population. Finally, before we get started, I just want everyone to be aware that this presentation will be focused on programs and supports and not on process. This is really just about the design of the early learning centers themselves. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Chief Norris to walk us through some of the exciting redesign work that's happening in our ALCs that's really grounded in our mantra of every student known.
Good evening, Board. Thank you so much, Dr. Battle. Greetings again. This evening, it is my pleasure to share with you the vision for redesigning the district's alternative learning centers and other innovative strategies that will create opportunities for students to find academic and SEL success and stay on their paths to college and career readiness. As always, we begin with what grounds the district's approach to ensure that every student is known. The work is divided into the signature initiatives that outline the district's priorities. This evening, we'll be highlighting the SEL and transition-focused outcomes as they relate to the ALC redesign process. And we are highlighting the core tenet to create and support engaging, rigorous, and personalized learning experiences for all students. First, I'd like to provide context for the district's approaches to creating alternative educational opportunities for MNPS students. We have followed the state's guidance regarding the district's responsibilities to students who are either suspended or expelled. Please note that, number one, if space and staff are available, attendance is required for students in grades 7 through 12 who have been suspended or expelled. Number two, MNPS determines that availability at the time that the disciplinary decision is rendered. Number three, attendance in an alternative school is not mandatory, however, for students who have committed zero-tolerance infractions. And number four, through the ALCs, however, the district is committed to providing several opportunities for students who have committed zero-tolerance infractions to continue with their academic pursuits in environments that prioritize their SEL growth and development as well. Our vision for this redesign process is to ensure that all MNPS students in every educational setting have the SEL and academic supports they need to succeed. The vision includes a consideration of investing in the capacity at the ALCs and aligning with national best practices focused on holistic restoration of each student. This approach strengthens our commitment to our mantra, every student known, and supports the district's focused outcomes. This presentation is divided into two parts: what the district is doing now to support students enrolled in ALCs, and what the district is building toward as it leverages the leadership of administrators and the successes of MNPS students in these learning environments. Right now, we continue to focus on strengthening academic opportunities, ensuring successful transitions to and from ALCs, and enhancing wraparound supports. This work represents the district's post-pandemic responses as we recognize that students needed more intensive wraparound supports with an SEL emphasis. Phase 1 of this plan, the Doing Now, highlights how we are sustaining these best practices. Students continue working toward their academic requirements to stay on track and be prepared for transition back to their schools of zone. This includes opportunities for students to complete any academy requirements that are aligned to those at their schools of zone. Credit recovery opportunities are available as well. Finally, the district is committed to using the AVID framework at the ALCs as another strategy to align the academic experiences of students enrolled in ALCs with those of their peers. Transition Success Specialists serve as case managers and liaisons for students who are entering ALCs and returning to their schools of zone. This role is designed to make sure that there are no gaps between the transitions and that students feel supported at every step of the way. Transition Success Specialists are responsible for facilitating entry and reentry meetings at the schools and the ALCs. And more intensive wraparound supports have been added to provide comprehensive SEL and mental health supports for students. These include social workers who assist students in navigating complex social and emotional needs and provide counseling and coping strategies and access to community resources, school psychologists who support behavioral and mental health needs, psychiatrists who support student mental health and coordinate care, recreational therapists who promote physical and emotional well-being, and nurses who provide medical care and emotional support. In the next few slides, I'll highlight what we are building toward in Phase 2 of this redesign process. As a reminder, the components in Phase 2 were shared as part of the district's aspirational budget. Included here are student success and ACE centers, workforce opportunities, and strengthened community partnerships. Student Success Centers are cluster-based programs that keep students on a path to success in the least restrictive setting possible. They are designed as a proactive intervention for students in need of additional levels of restorative approaches prior to attending an alternative setting. To mitigate transportation challenges, there will be one center per quadrant. Students are assigned based on needs and can attend for a 20-day, 40-day, or 60-day interval. Additionally, there will be transition success specialists at every center and therapeutic staff to provide comprehensive care to help students achieve and maintain optimal academic and social emotional well-being. ACE centers, which will be our rebranded ALCs, are designed to provide rehabilitative, personalized supports for students with zero-tolerance infractions. In these centers, administrators and staff members will amplify student strengths, cultivate student talents and interests, and engage students in high levels of academic rigor, ACE. With 3 locations at Park Avenue, W.A. Bass, and Johnson, ACE centers will serve students district-wide. Students can attend up to 180 days. Each center will have a therapeutic staff to collaborate and provide comprehensive care to help students achieve and maintain optimal academic and social emotional well-being. Post-secondary readiness for every MNPS graduate is a top priority for the district, so creating workforce opportunities to allow students to explore and discover their interests also is a priority in these alternative learning environments. We are building toward creating job and trade training, skills development workshops, job fairs, internships, and job shadowing opportunities. At present, we are looking to expand upon workforce opportunities with our pre-apprenticeship programs. And next, you will hear from Principal Myron Franklin about how we are leveraging community partnerships to build more opportunities, supports, and resources for students enrolled in the ALCs. MNPS is fortunate to have community partners that are willing to come alongside the district to ensure that every student is known. I'd like to invite Principal Franklin to share more about the exciting work that is happening in the ALCs and what these community partnerships mean. Principal Franklin's dedication to creating welcoming and engaging educational environments that allow student talent to shine was evident at our last board meeting when we recognized creators of Hawks Talk, a student podcast. He fosters a school community where students can recalibrate their academic and SEL goals, restore positive behaviors and mindsets, and reconnect with themselves and others. Welcome, Principal Franklin.
Good afternoon, evening, everybody. How you all doing? Chair Elroy, board, Dr. Battle. Hope you guys are having a great day. I don't want to be here long, but I do want to thank you all for letting me just have an opportunity to talk about Johnson. What we've done at Johnson, and I would even say at BASS, we began to align ourselves with a lot of things you've heard tonight. Our mission at Johnson is to recalibrate, restore, and reconnect our young people to themselves, their community, and their schools. And we do that through several ways. I like to talk about Johnson this way. My first year was my worst year. First year at Johnson, we had a lot to go on. I think that was a year before they had a riot out there. We had the police removed from the building. We had fights every day. It was kind of different. Suspension rate was like 50 to 60% suspension rate. 65% of the kids got in trouble or some type of incident at school. That was the first year. The second year, we began to implement new strategies, trying to attack some of those issues dealing with the students. And what ended up happening, we ran into a pandemic. When the pandemic came about, a lot of the kids became displaced. And once again, they had to return to us because the pandemic didn't stop kids from behaving. So with that, we created what's called our wellness zone. And our wellness zone is a fairly particular place in that it is our wraparound services. That is where our students go and they get their SEL support. So within the wellness zone, we have our counselors, school counselors. We have a trauma-informed specialist. We've invested in RPAs, which is restorative practitioners. And we also have STARS counselors who come in and provide mental health apparatus to our students. And what we've learned is by giving students those things up front, it makes it much easier when they transition back to their schools because now they have skills to transition back to. So what does that look like? Well, at Johnson, when you enroll in Johnson, you go through what's called our registration process. That's where we meet the family. We try to explain to the family what it means to be a Johnson student. On Wednesday, your student returned to us where we'll take them through some type of initiation of what it means to be a Johnson student, what our expectations are, and then they start with us. So first thing we had to do was clean up the process by which kids come into the building and open up that process so kids can know where the relationships are and how to get to them. Once that is done, kids are now able to integrate in a system that is, I like to call a very welcoming system, a system to let them know that they are whole, they just made a mistake. And through that system, we've now gotten to the point where our discipline, I think we're at 20%, 24% suspension rate from 50%. Our attendance is up to 80% from 60%. So we're seeing fabulous numbers happen. I think one is because of the investment that the district has made with us by providing us some of those systems that we need as far as STARS counselors and extra RPAs, but also because we have a staff that has wrapped themselves around an ingratiated student with a bunch of love and acceptance. I think those things coupled with what we've talked about today is going to help us. So we like to talk about last time we were here, the podcast. The podcast is great. I don't want to downplay it. It's really great. But I think it's ancillary to what we've done beforehand. If we don't begin to attack the kids' emotional well-being, we're not going to win. So every kid who comes to Johnson, they go through a 4-week course of study of what it means to be just a human again. How do we teach anger management? How do we teach conflict resolution? And those things are the things that led us to where we are today. I only hope we get better because our mantra is mindfulness, inspired, and better. We want every kid to walk in mindful, inspired to do something great, and know that they are better every day they try to be. So that is Johnson in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, Principal Franklin. And so one of the things that we've done is we're thinking about building toward, and again, phase 2 is strengthening those community partnerships. And so you see here listed, or shown rather, many of the community partners who have come alongside us, see the value in the work that is happening at the ALCs, and have committed to ensuring that every student is known as well. So, as we continue the important work at the ALCs and look to the future, The board can continue to support the ALC redesign planning process and continue to celebrate all MNPS students as you all do so fabulously every board meeting. We appreciate the board's leadership and dedication to ensuring that every MNPS student is known. And now I return the mic back to Dr. Battle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chief Norris, and also Principal Franklin, the entire Student Services team. Thank you for being responsive, one, and connected to our mantra, but also under our umbrella of Metro Schools Reimagine, being inclusive of all of our learning environments for all of our students. So Chair Rod, I will turn it over to you at this time to see if there are any questions from the board.
Thank you so much. Before we get to the questions, I would like to say it's good to see Principal Franklin again. I am not surprised to see that there's a priority to collaborate amongst community partners. I had the honor to go to the AVID conference last summer, and I was just sitting in the hallway, and Principal Franklin made sure that he came up and talked to me. And I'm not so sure he knew who I was, but he knew that I was on the board and that someone needed to talk to me about how good Johnson is. And I gave him all my attention. And it was a great testament to the belief that you have in not just your students, but your staff and the power of transformation in your school. So I really appreciate you stopping me and talking to me, and I'm not surprised to see that collaboration. So
Can I just say real quick, I'm glad you brought that up because Johnson is one of our AVID schools, and the team and the leader there have been a part of our training because of that continuity of learning and supports that we want to see both in Johnson and the school of choice of our students. So we're really excited. It might just be another national leading thing there to make sure that those systems of supports exist for all students.
all right, Dr. Naba McKinney.
Thank you. I also want to uplift Principal Franklin. He caught me at that ADVOC conference as well. And we had some nice conversations. And not only that, he also took the next step to invite us out to his school several times. So I appreciate that. And appreciate your advocacy for not only your students, but your school community. So thank you for that. I do want to highlight the fact that in looking at the ALC redesign and looking at this work, one of the first things that I noticed in these PowerPoint slides is the fact that MNPS is not required to support students who have been expelled for a zero tolerance offense. However, we have taken that initiative to do so, and I appreciate that we are supporting students regardless of the decisions that they make that lead them into that zero tolerance offense. So that's the first thing that I do want to acknowledge and appreciate. The second thing is you mentioned that there were 4 schools north in each quadrant. I only got the names of 3. Who is our 4th school?
So the 3 schools that I acknowledged in my opening comments were our existing alternative learning center spaces that cover both elementary, middle, and high. The 4 centers that Chief Norris mentioned are part of our aspirational goal setting to get supports as close to students and their school communities based upon their infraction or need of the student in a very holistic way. So that does not currently exist. We are speaking it into existence as we plan forward for our aspirational budget because we're seeing such a positive difference in our current setting, and we are clear about where we need to expand those supports and services for our students and families as we move forward.
So I know it's aspirational, but how close are we to the needle of kind of moving that forward, especially seeing that we're having some really positive results in the work that we're doing in transforming our schools?
We are planning for, at this point, next year's budget cycle. This budget cycle is pretty well set as we close out this school year. And so, as you've seen in previous aspirational budget presentations, you've seen this as a part of those presentations, and so you will continue to see that in the next budget cycle.
Okay, thank you.
Member Tyler?
So, when I hear the acronym ACE, I always think of adverse childhood experiences, and I was wondering if that was intentional, if we were, because in here it says it's amplify, cultivate, and engage, and I really like the idea that we're looking to kind of turn that on its head. So I just wanted to ask if that was something that we had done.
I wouldn't call it so much intentional in the acronym, but the intentionality being what we were trying to, the place we always start at is our ideal space. What is it that we want as our end goal? And it just happened to be that those phrases that were selected aligned to what you would hear in ACEs, but it is a way to think about it in a more positive aspect as opposed to a deficit aspect. So thank you for acknowledging that and calling that out, and the team will note it accordingly.
And then I just had a question about the teachers who work at the ALCs. Are they required to have specific training above and beyond just a teaching license?
So all of our teachers are required to be certificated and to meet those specific certifications. And then we do provide specific training for our staff members who serve at our ALCs to anything from de-escalation to other biases training. I mean, the whole gamut.
Yeah.
Some of it is specialized based upon the needs of the school as well, but absolutely, there are other required trainings on top of being a certificated educator as well.
I would have assumed so. It's nice to hear. And then also, are they also provided any extra supports above and beyond? Because dealing with the classroom at Johnson, I'm sure is dealing different than a classroom that is not from an alternative learning center. So are they given extra mental health supports? Are they given extra supports? I know bringing in more counselors is extremely helpful and provides them the relief that they need to get the help in ways where they can use it. So just wondering, we best support our students by making sure that our teachers are fully prepared to do their job. And so how are we fully preparing all of these teachers?
Yep, so all of our teachers have access to our wonderful portfolio of supports that we're able to provide in MNPS. But more specifically, as we thought about, kind of stepped back and thought about the reimagined space and what was necessary, our school teams were critical voices around the table. And part of that was the additional personnel and the wraparound services that we've already mentioned that our staff members definitely advocated for. You tend to find smaller class sizes in our alternative learning centers as well. But quite frankly, we just have amazing staff who are there to care for and support our students, and they're doing a tremendous job with that. But the reimagining space, kind of where we are, where we've made some improvements post-pandemic and where we're going, is definitely informed by the voices of our leaders in our alternative learning spaces.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that that's taken. And obviously, I know just from listening to the podcast and that there's a lot of really good stuff going on. And so just making sure that we're supporting everybody in the most holistic way possible. So thank you.
Member Fain?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, no, now it is. I just wanted to say that I also met Principal Franklin at the pencil celebration, and his passion, the way he speaks today is how he always speaks. He's very, very strong about those kids, about the program, and it's just great for you to get this recognition and for you to come up in front of the board and be able to speak those concerns. I am still working on that AWS partnership, but I just wanted to let you all know that he definitely is going to talk about Johnson and the program and the podcast and all the great things that their program is doing. So salute to you. Need more like you.
Member O'Hara Block?
So the metrics that Principal Franklin talked about were really impressive, moving from, I think it was something like 50% suspension rate to something like 25. Yeah. 24. Thank you all for correcting me.
Everybody, 24.
So I just round numbers sometimes in my head. I'm pretty sure, right, that alternative learning centers or alternative schools or schools with smaller end counts are not part of the overall state system of accountability. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit, Dr. Bottle, about how it is that we monitor progress, outcomes, et cetera, at the alternative learning centers.
The same way we do at every other school. They have the same focus outcomes. I mean, that's why Principal Franklin is able to speak so well to where they are with regards to both the academic and non-academic metrics. And so their dashboard looks exactly like everyone else's because no matter where our students are being served, we have to deliver on our promise of providing a quality educational experience to all of our students. We also do track recidivism. We want to make sure that the supports that are being provided at any of our schools, but particularly because of the population makeup of students in our ALCs, we do track that to make sure that we are building the toolboxes of our students and giving them the skills to be successful when they return back to their school of choice. So that is something in addition we also track, but everything from academic and non-academic to graduation rates, they get it all, just like everyone else. And so there's not a lowering of expectations. We keep the same expectations for students to remain on track or to get on track to be a successful graduate of Metro Nashville Public Schools.
Thanks. It follows Dr. Nabata McKinney pointing out that a lot of this is right. When I think about my time at the state and other times that I've heard folks talk about this, the sort of assumption is that's just somewhere kids go, not this is a place where we want to continue to do the work of making sure all kids are moving towards graduation and that we actually continue to measure that, even if it's not required by anyone, because it's required by doing right by kids and every student known. The new model that you're talking about is really interesting with the student success centers and then different periods of time that students can potentially be places. Is that something you've seen somewhere or something you all sort of have seen work? And I'm just wondering kind of where it's come from, if it's a model or if it's something that you dreamt.
It's probably a combination of the two. We've tried to really support our leaders in this space. First of all, Principal Franklin, you are what's your new title? You're okay, so and so by way of his leadership and our other principals that have mentioned, they've been able to see, network, and learn about strong, positive models that are effective for our young people. And then part of it was just about dreaming around what we wanted to be true here in MNPS. So it's a combination of the two. It's also there are limits to it when you're thinking about school facilities and getting students where they need to be, but maximizing all the possibilities to serve our students well. And so, as was mentioned earlier, by law, we don't actually have to provide all that we do, but because we care about every single one of our students, and we know, and if you listen to the podcast, the kids and I talked about this, sometimes it's a one day really bad decision. And that does not mean anything but that, because they are the most potential talented students you will ever meet. And it's about repairing that harm. It's about restoring their decision-making process and self-awareness so that they can, too, go out and live their dreams beyond high school. So, again, a combination of the two and really just dreaming about what we want to be true for our students.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of serving at the graduation at Bass, and that was almost verbatim the speech that was given by the student speaker. She was a senior. I believe her home school was MLK. I'm not positive, but she said that we're all here for various reasons, but for me it was like a bad day, a bad decision, but I'm doing this, and she's going to a very impressive college. And so I think it's important for folks to recognize all of the different types of things that are happening at these schools to make sure our students are getting what they need.
And if I could add to that, one of the things we really try to be intentional around is our language, right? So when you think about success centers, it's because we expect success, right? And so it's not about those students. No, this is about our students. And so we're trying to be very intentional about the language we use to speak positivity and belief in our young people. And so as you think about ACEs, as you think about success centers, all of that was intentional to make sure that we're being really disciplined about the language we use, because our kids are listening, and the way in which we speak about who they are and what they can do, they hear it every day. And so we're also trying to redesign how we talk about these spaces that allow for greatness to be cultivated.
Dr. Gentry?
So much to be said. But I first want to start by thanking Dr. Battle, and she didn't say this, but this was probably the first thing I dropped in her lap when she took this seat. It's like, we got to fix this. This has to be better for our students. And I made comments at the last meeting about, how I feel about the students. And so I'll just say, the question about whether or not we provide extra supports to the teachers, I think it's still that language, that question leans into, these students requires me to do something else, require me to be something else. These are our students. We just had an example. The speaker from Bass was an MLK student. So the students that we think never get in trouble, don't do anything wrong, they're super, super bright, they're the perfect student because they're at MLK. That student ended up at Bass. And so it's not, the question isn't, how do I armor up teachers to support these students? It's, how do I support these students so that the teachers can do the job that they're trained to do in the buildings that we've placed them, that they have signed up to be, to provide supports for the students. So I want us to be mindful of the language. It took me many, many years to get support hub out of my mouth consistently. And so I want us to stop saying alternative learning centers, because as you've heard, we've got students that are in the school for 180 days. That's a full school year. It's not the alternative. It is their school. It's their school. And so I want us to start leaning into the language, and, let's not lean into the ALC anymore. These are our ACE centers. And so I was really pleased to hear, as one of the first conversations I had with Principal Franklin about his school was the amount of time it took to get the records, right? So that's huge, that transfer, right? So if I have a bad day and I end up at a Johnson, I get moved from my school to a Johnson, to a Bass, to a Rose Park, whatever it is, I need the records. That school needs to know where I am academically. What have I been working on? What assignments, or what's my plan? What's my plan for education? And so I'm really glad to hear that, which is the number one hurdle, right, is to keep that student on track to graduation. The other thing I would just, I think I may have said all the things again, with the name, the workforce opportunities. Are we following sort of like the big picture model for that?
So Principal Franklin and I just had this conversation. So
Did you?
through our Reimagine work, we identified a few models that we wanted to learn from to make sure that we were creating the best fit. Here. The team did go and do some digging around the big picture model and what they may look like. We adopted the AVID system as opposed to the big picture model here because of our academies of Nashville. So with that being such a strong framework, trying to align Principal Franklin, again, we just talked about this morning, they're doing a really good job of keeping students on track to be completers and/or concentrators for their academies of Nashville pathway. And the next step was, and we've started to explore this, we've not found the perfect fit yet, but we're not giving up. Ms. Speaks to your question, is the specific pathways that can exist in our schools that align to their workforce development. And so we're still working through that to determine and assess what we can stand up in a smaller school model, given the fact that the majority of the students are coming from an Academies of Nashville school.
Okay, good. So just two more comments. I want to just first say that I had 3 goals over my 16 years, and this is the third one on the list. So thank you so much for Principal Franklin hanging in there with me in our conversations and your 17 screen text message when I just off the cuff asked, well, what do you need? And it came pouring in. And so I had the conversation with Dr. Battle, and here we are. So thank you, Principal Franklin, and all of our principals at our ACE centers. Thank you, Dr. Battle. But I also want to give a huge shout out to Nashville State Community College because they continue to show up in reports and in spaces where we've seen significant turnaround for our students in some of our schools. So I just want to, again, publicly thank Dr. Jackson for partnering with us, even in this space as well as other spaces, providing just high-quality academic opportunities for all of our students.
Member Masters.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to commend the work, first of all. I think it's very important. I am curious about when, when students are experiencing like these smaller class sizes and additional supports. I'm wondering if, from a data perspective or just from an anecdotal perspective, if you could offer some information on how those students adapt when they return to a zone school or, a school that has maybe larger class sizes, and sort of how we're seeing that transition take place, and then also how the teachers in those schools, the staff in those schools are welcoming those students back into the classroom and how they're adapting and having the supports that they need to ensure success for the student moving forward.
So two quick things, and then team, feel free to chime in. One is the transition specialist role that we've been intentional about. Someone who has a relationship with the student on both ends, right? Where regardless of what school they're returning to, we've seen tremendous success in having more of a seamless handoff, if you will. And the second thing is I'm going to go back to the recidivism, just being able to track how many students who might have offended, transition to our ALC and back, just seeing that number continue to decline. And so that speaks to, as you said, just kind of a, soft data point. It just kind of speaks to how well students are transitioning between the two. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you did also heard students ask me, why can't they just stay and graduate from Johnson? And I said, well, that wasn't the original goal, but so I think that also speaks to just the safe space and the ability to continue to grow and learn at Johnson as well. We want both things to be true for our students, because we currently don't hold a graduation for Johnson. So students graduate from their school of choice. And that example, but those are just two things top of mind that are significant indicators for us and how seamless our process is. And it's been conversations from a leadership end that we've worked with principals on and creating those spaces and those transition plans. And this is where navigators become even more critical for students, so they have that adult that they're immediately reconnected with, and we try to keep them with the same navigator. So if you're there year one but not year two, year three, you're likely going to be back with that navigator unless there's a request for something different. So various data points really do help us determine how effective these strategies have been. And quite frankly, you hear from the students who have attended one of our ALCs and, their ability to believe in themselves and stay on track for graduation. And reconnect in their community, because that's also critically important, that they find an academy, a club, a sport, art, just something that really they connect to through their high school experience.
So to the academy model, do we find that sometimes students who say re-enter in 11th or 12th grade, are they needing to do catch up in order to, complete a certain academy, or are they sort of staying on track academically to where they can re-enter into?
Yes and no. I think you
yeah.
have some students, but regardless, if you were a student who did not have a year interruption, we still have some yes and nos. With regards to that, we do have a pretty strong pipeline of students from Johnson or Bass to our academy, Academy Hickory Hollow, Academy Opera Mills, and Academy at Old Cockrell. I didn't say one of them twice, did I? We have a very strong partnership and pipeline for students in that regard as well. So yes and no. Some students can re-enter right back on track. Some might need to do some credit recovery. Some might, just like as we talk about third grade retention, some might need to be in summer school and promising scholars this summer. Particularly in high school, we do a lot of credit recovery work over the summer.
Great. I mean, it sounds like with, some of what's being implemented at the ALCs, soon to be ACEs, that there's potentially some replicable models, best practices that could even be carried over into our other schools. I think it's really interesting to hear about the learning through implementation that's going on in these schools.
Absolutely. And I'll also give a shout out, because this is significant. Our district also offers graduation opportunities for students over the summer. And that is not common practice.
I've been to summer graduation. It's fun.
So they get the same experience, whether they graduate in May or if they graduate in July.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Blair?
No, I just want to thank the administration on their narrative, because I just actually finished up my second year stint with Leadership Nashville, and I look at my classmates and even member of the class, and that one bad day, and now they're leaders, and they're sitting in the room with CEOs and things like that. And so I like I appreciate that we're doing that narrative, because we still don't know where these kids end up at, and they end up at the best tables in this city, leading this city as business leaders, political leaders. I've even trained a couple of them to be politicians and to be elected officials. So it's one of the things of, I am glad we have that narrative and honoring the humanity of, I say kids, but I think we're all in that older part. But I think the importance of that, to show that by the grace of God, there goes I. And so I'm just glad that we hear that, and and that's our narrative, that you're still going to produce, you're still going to be leaders, and instilling that to make sure that they will be the next class, Leadership National class, 20 years from now, and having that mindset, because it's important as we recruit partners, as we go into the field, and we do our job as community leaders, that we can link them to all types of leaders, and showing that their voice is even more important, because they truly reflect society that we are leading, and sometimes trying to lead. And their voice is even that much more important, because our lives in a privileged area is not the same and do not have the same story, and can solve these problems even better, because they have experience of how to make something more efficient, how to actually solve the systematic oppressions that we have. So I just want to thank you, Principal Franklin, and the other principals for having that mindset, because that's what's going to change our society, and I'm just excited to hear that.
Dr. Namapa Kitty?
I just wanted to add on the last thing, the 4-week course that students have when they enter into the school. I really think we all need to take that 4-week course. With the way our climate and and the way we interact with people nowadays in society and the rhetoric, I think that would be helpful to not just students at the ACES centers, but students across MNPS, as well as the adults. Thank you.
Especially the adults.
Especially the adults.
I guess to add to that, I too am glad to hear that there is a 4-week entryway for students. I think that gives them dignity in a situation of typically trauma. And I believe that is the right thing to do, and so I'm glad that we provide that. And I guess along with that, along with the other wins that we heard specific to your school, is that the attendance is up to 80% from like 60%. Is that correct, Johnson? That is, for those of you that may not know, truancy and attendance numbers are exceptionally hard to move up. It takes typically lots of money and manpower just to move it up a percentage wise. So to get a 20% jump there is incredible. Have we looked at some of this work that's being done there? Also with behavior, those data points are really interesting as well and very impressive. Are we looking at what's being done there to see if we can apply it elsewhere, like we're doing with our other attendance models at other schools? Whether that's the programming or.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's many different scenarios of why you would see such a low attendance rate. Everything from the process to remandment to the assignment of the school. I mean, just so many. The disengagement potentially that existed sometimes because of the incident that the student may have been involved in. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, yes. So if you were in our principal leadership network meetings, you see all of our leaders. So we're constantly sharing ideas and strategies, and we encourage them to do so. It's the one thing that our principals love most is learning from one another. But there is some uniqueness to specific school communities and, you know, where you see high chronic absenteeism versus a high or low average daily attendance. And so it is a constant just kind of learning process and figuring out what is working. What we have learned most is my team is going to get sick of me saying this, until you drill down to the individual student, you will continue to miss the mark. And so we're trying to be as individualized as possible when it comes to that engagement and that presence in school.
Okay. I would say assumption of correlation is that the increased wraparound supports and the focus on wraparound supports is probably helpful to that attendance as well. And I know that's been a discussion we've had many times on this board floor, and increasing the wraparound supports in our other schools, and how that would increase our attendance rates as well across the board. So everyone who is listening knows, we've had an increase of attendance across MNPS as a whole, which we are very proud of. But that's an incredible statistic to say 20% jump. So I appreciate that. I want to just try to get a little bit of more information about the student success centers, since it's going to be an aspirational budget ask for next year. And I want to make sure that if we're going to provide the seed of information to people now about that I can speak intelligently to it and I'm giving the correct information. For the student success centers, are we using current property that we already have, or do we need new property? What is our is our aspirational budget not just operational? Is it also facilities as wise?
It will be a bit of both, but the initial plan is to leverage current facilities until you get to Southeast, to the Southeast quadrant. It becomes a little more difficult to do. And so we try to cross collaborate so everybody knows what's happening when and where, so that we're keeping an eye on where space may or may not exist. But the initial phase would be to leverage current facilities that are already in our MNPS portfolio, with the one exception being the potential for something in the Southeast quadrant.
Okay. So just because we don't have a space in the Southeast quadrant, because I immediately cannot think of one, that wouldn't hold up the progress otherwise. We would still go forward in other quadrants.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. How many students were we talking about with the student success centers? I think you gave us some numbers, Chief Norson, I'm sorry, of how long the process would be, or they were able to stay 60 days, or there were some numbers you gave, and I'm sorry I missed those.
So for the Student Success Centers, we're imagining different intervals, 20 days, 40 days, or 60 days. And the students would be assigned based on needs. Again, to Dr. Battle's point, it's about individualizing and making sure that we understand student needs, understand student academic needs, and more especially, how can we provide those wraparound supports? And so those would be the different intervals that we're considering for the Student Success Centers.
Okay. Thank you. I also want to say, Chief Norris, I know you've talked to us before, but I don't know if you've given us a presentation, like a chief, it's her presentation. So it's good to see you up here, and we're glad to have you in this position, and thank you for all this information. Okay. Emily Masters said something that got me thinking. Dadgummit, this is why I should have written it down.
Except the transition, the replicable things.
That's probably the replicable things. So sorry, one moment, everyone. Let me look through my notes. I'm trying to keep an eye on these two children over here and everybody else. They're actually well behaved.
Quiet at the church now.
Okay. They don't even hear us. Okay. I'm excited for us to pay more attention to the ALC student. I think in changing it to ACE, intentional language has been something that we've all worked on, whether that's been the Student Support Hub or other language changes that we've had. I think being intentional, particularly with these students, is important because they deserve that type of dignity with, again, they've had one bad day. And I think to the point of some of my other colleagues, unfortunately, those schools have historically been considered a place where students go sometimes, and that there's not dignity in that. And so I'm glad that we're being intentional here. I'm glad that it's going to be an aspirational budget request. I think it'll be well received. When we get to that point, I'll ask that we have some more information about facilities, number of students, what's the possibility with other locations, what are we doing with the Johnsonville, all those kinds of things. And I know that's not happening now, but we'll need that information so that we can speak intelligently to it. But I appreciate the focus on it, and I think it's the right step, and it actually helps us meet our goal that we have of every student being known. And it's the right thing to do, so I appreciate that. Dr. Gentry.
Quick question. And I think we've kind of alluded to it in various ways. If there's an ability to recognize sort of economies of scale when it comes to partners and supports, I think that'll be something that will be easier to take a look at once we have facilities in place and understanding physical location and distance between the two. But I would like to see that sort of be the mindset that we have sort of this school system within the school system, and how we can provide supports that are consistent regardless of the property that student finds themselves assigned to. Which brought up my other question around transportation. So what does transportation look like for a student who may have been catching a bus to a school and now is assigned to an ACE center? What does transportation look like?
Yeah, so that's part of the rationale about having the ACE centers within the quadrant so that you can reduce the travel time and the demand on families for enrollment and attendance. So part of the rationale is getting the school experience closer to students and families so that they're not having to travel clear across town for enrollment. Now, we are exploring early on exploration, some alternative transportation scenarios that are not ready for. We're learning and researching and becoming smarter about it, that we might be able to connect this work to in the near future.
So right now, the parent has to get the student there, or the student gets on a bus.
Yes.
City bus.
City bus, right. So they do still have access. All of our students have access to WeGo free of charge.
Right. Okay. And I would just throw out and ask to my colleagues here that we just protect it from a budget perspective, right? So it literally lands on us. And so the work that's been done thus far and the progress and the success that we've seen with our students is just be mindful and keep an ear and an eye on where in our budget do the resources sit and the dollars lie to continue to work if nothing else expands, right? How do we maintain what we have? And then obviously expansion would be the aspirational part of that.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Dr. Battle. And thank you, everyone, for all your great questions. That gets us to public participation. we do not have anyone signed up for public participation, so we will move on to our governance issues. The agenda has been adopted. May I see a motion to approve?
Second.
All right, it's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of approving it as presented, please raise your hand. All right, that is everyone. All right, we have heard from the student board member board report, which we're very excited about. Real quickly, for board reports, do we have anything that is necessary about director's evaluation? Do you want me to say it again? That's okay. I got you at the last minute. Do we have anything that needs to be announced about director's evaluation? I apologize, I didn't ask you earlier. Okay, we do not, but we did just do it, so everybody is aware that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. All right, that gets us to announcements. To do announcements, I will start off with District 1.
Thank you. I just want you to know that I certified my last graduations of my 16-year tenure. So we had Maplewood. I didn't make East graduation because it's 2:00 in the day in Boston, that situation. And then there was Whites Creek, so I'm gonna tell y'all about Chief Perry in a minute. There was Whites Creek who presented me with flowers and a picture of the staff arranged in a 24. So if you just remember, right? So this graduating class, these are the 2020 ninth graders at a computer in their home class, right? And so was very excited. Again, I mentioned to those students that they represented everything that I hope to accomplish in my time here on the board. But Chief Bear Perry passed a note to Harold Love and made Harold Love pinch me really, really hard, apparently, because I cried like a baby. So it had to be that I got pinched really, 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 really hard. But I did. I snotted a lot. It was awful. It was absolutely. That graduation almost did not get certified. Like I couldn't even. It was terrible. I couldn't get it out. But I'm super excited about that. As you all know, the stories around the Whites Creek cluster, Maplewood itself, and all the things that they've been able to accomplish, the redistricting that moved east around a couple of times, and just all the great things that have come to pass and come to fruition, I should say, in 2024. So that was super exciting, and I was super exciting and very honored to be able to do that one last time.
District 3.
I can't follow that. That was like the perfect feelings, graduations. Yes. And I only had 4 years, but I was able to confer diplomas at 3 amazing graduations. Cora Howe, Exceptional School, Stratford STEM Magnet, which I will be continuing as a member of the PTO there next year. I'm looking forward to that. And Hunters Lane High School. And they were all just amazing and beautiful events. I did want to mention something exciting that I got to do earlier today. I attended the unveiling of a historic marker in front of Goodlettsville Middle School, where I was also on the PTO a few years ago. And it was to commemorate Goodlettsville High School, which opened in 1917 and graduated its last class in 1986. And it has a very active alumni association in Goodlettsville. And there were two women there. One is a 1948 graduate and one a 1944 graduate of Goodlettsville High School. We had former school board members there, future school board member who will be is running unopposed for my seat, was there. Lots of members of Goodlettsville City Council, the Goodlettsville mayor. We do have our own mayor in Goodlettsville, for those of you that didn't know. And it was just a really exciting event. Principal Demps was there from Goodlettsville Middle, and it was exciting for me to see sort of like the present and the past come together. Dr. Demps was able to speak at the event, which I thought was really important, and it just provided a lot of context for what we do. Did y'all know Goodlettsville High School was the second public high school only after Hume Fogg? Well, I didn't even know that till today. So, drive up Main Street in Goodlettsville as you're headed to the Goodlettsville Antique Mall and Rare Bird, because I know that's where everybody goes on the weekend. And you can stop at Ruby's on the way and have breakfast on the left at Ruby's at Mason. And then on the right at Goodlettsville Middle, you can look at this beautiful historic marker and just feel excited about the shared history of Metro Nashville Public Schools and Davidson County. That's it.
District 4. Wow, I get to follow two of our exiting board members. I feel so honored. No, but they're talking about it now, so we just want to acknowledge the great work that they have done and been here. So I want to start by apologizing for being late earlier today, but I do want to take an opportunity to congratulate our middle school athletes who were recognized earlier today, and our new student school board member. I was able to participate in the interview process and was really impressed. So congratulations, Hannah. Welcome aboard and glad to have you here. I also want to congratulate all of the graduates. I had the honor of officiating several schools across MNPS, along with my colleague TK Fain and Cheryl Mays joining me in many of those graduations. So congratulations to everyone who has walked out. And also a special congratulations to my son who had his flyaway ceremony, because MNPS only has one graduation in the district, and that is seniors. But he had his flyaway ceremony, so he is an official middle schooler. So I am excited and in tears at the same time. And then lastly, I also want to congratulate you, Elena, on graduating and heading to Hampton University. You have really been a major component of our board for the last 2 years. We appreciate your contributions and your feedback that you have given us to really help us understand where students are coming from and their perspective. So thank you, and I hope that the skills that you have learned here and across the district gives you an opportunity to use those leadership skills while you're at Hampton and in the future. Congratulations. District 5.
All right. First, I celebrated by doing my first graduations this year. So yay, me. I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Naba McKinney, because she set the bar at MLK graduation for me, and I went to Pearl and I got it all fired up for you, just for you. She was like, let me do it. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. And so that was super exciting. Also wanted to give a thank you to Governor Bill Lee, Commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, amongst Dr. Battle, Chair Elrod, and Mays for joining me at Pearl this past Tuesday for the official bill signing in support of the Smart Heart Act legislation, in which the bill signed by Governor Lee requires automatic defibrillators in schools and establishes response protocols for cardiac-related medical emergencies. The bill received unanimous bipartisan legislative support. With this bill, schools will establish, review, and annually practice athletic emergency action plan for responding to students who sustain cardiac arrest or other life-threatening injuries while participating in school athletic activities. And I thought that was really, really honorable and special, because he had the entire Pearl State Championship boys football team, as well as the girls city champion flag football, standing behind him and supporting him while doing so. There was a lot of other councilmen, councilwomen, legislators. It was just an important day. Always excited to see 37208 represented in that light. I was going to give some shout outs for our PCHS track and fields championships, but she told me, so I'm not gonna take their shine. I'm gonna wait on it, but that's what I have for now.
District 6.
Just really quickly, so just a public shout out and thank you to every single member that served on the Student School Board Selection Committee. It was a difficult decision and it was a lot of hard work, and I do appreciate every single person who participated in the process. You made my job a lot easier. It was a very good process. We've got some tweaks to make, but it was a good process. And once again, welcome to our new junior student board member, Ms. Hannah Wynn. We're excited that you're going to be coming on board. We're looking forward to getting you at the table and hearing your voice as you represent our students. And to our baby, Elena, thank you for your constant support of your peers and of this Board of Education. Your voice has been incredible, and I know that you will continue to do great things as you move forward. And although I had to twist your arms a little bit to get you to commit to your college, I am glad that you finally did. So thank you for that, and you will be missed and appreciated. But, you know, we're all your mothers, so we'll be here for you whenever you need us, for sure. And finally, to my colleagues, Ms. Masters and Dr. Gentry, your collective 20 years of experience on this board has been amazing. And I know you're not leaving just yet, but I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for feeding into us. Thank you for being those constant voices, always keeping in mind that our job is to represent every single student in Metro Nashville Public Schools. One of the things that I absolutely adore is Dr. Battle's mantra, and I hear this in my head more often than I probably should, but I find myself saying it out loud: know where you are, but don't stay there. And Dr. Gentry, you are absolutely that person who knows. You see where we are, but you're like, no, we're not staying there. Here's what we're going to do. And so thank you for being that person. And thank you for your constant support over the years. I have been, I'm not going to continue because I'll start to tear up a little bit over here, but I do appreciate you both so much. You're not going anywhere. I'm hooked into both of you for life. So thank you so much. And finally, I did have the honor today of attending the Metro Nashville Public Schools Transportation Team's final end-of-year event. It was amazing, and they actually asked for all school board members to attend going forward, but I told them they had to invite because it's not for me to invite you, but it was absolutely an amazing opportunity to say thank you to our transportation team. They were amazing, and they are such amazing people. It touches my heart to see the people who set the day for our children. Generally they are the first people our children see before they walk into a school building, and so they dictate how that day is going to go. And they are amazing people. So thank you to our entire transportation team for always taking care of our little ones, not all little ones, but our young people. So thank you so much and enjoy your summer. Thanks.
District 7.
I just want to thank Mayor O'Connell for attending the Glencliff graduation. And it was a lovely graduation with one of the most diverse classes ever. And so I'm glad for him, and thank you for taking time out of his schedule to do that.
District 8.
I also, the graduations are such a highlight of the year. And I got to attend 4, and they were wonderful, as well as my own child's promotion ceremony, which caused me to miss a couple other things. But 5 graduations in the course of, I don't know, like not quite 8 days, was just wonderful and left me filled with joy. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank Dr. Battle and her team, who have quietly been interviewing for principal and assistant principal roles over the last couple of months. And I know we're going to be really excited about all the folks that they have been hiring. And one of the things that I've been hearing about the process is how great the Aspiring Principals Academy is for all of those folks who are participating in those. So anyway, thank you all for that service as well.
District 9.
just a reminder that their Bellevue Cleanup Day on Saturday, June 1st will be from 8 to noon at Bellevue Middle School, and it's for people to, it's a fundraiser, so it's $5 per car, and you can bring in old televisions, old electronics, bulk drop-off, paper shredding, any of those things. It's between 8 and noon, Saturday, June 1st at Bellevue Middle School. And then just a special shout out to Barbara Frazier, who just retired as Gower's principal. I started my time at Gower the same time that Frazier started as the principal there, and she just holds a real deep, special place in my heart. So we are poorer for her leaving and better for having known her. So I am excited about Dr. Query, though. So Gower is in great hands, wonderful hands, but Frazier is somebody who will be really hard to move forward without. So thank you.
Senior Student Board Member.
Once again, sorry for all the dramatics last meeting. I'm not even going to call this my last meeting because I can't even make any promises at this point. But I have just been showered with love and gifts, and so I'm very, very appreciative once again just to everyone who's been a part of my journey. And I am super duper excited for you, Hannah, and I'm super confident in Hannah's abilities to come and fill in this role. So I'm super duper excited for the future, and I will always be a part of Team MNPS. Yes.
And thank you for also being part of the interview process as well. That was super helpful. All right, so we have a couple things. First, I want to make sure everyone's aware that the July 9th meeting, historically, we meet the first meeting of July and not the second meeting of July. That is being flip-flopped this year. And so the board is not meeting on July 9th. Instead, we are meeting on July 23rd of this year. So I want to make sure that we are as aware of that as possible. It is all on our Outlook calendars. It is important for us to be there for that meeting. It will be a long one. So July 23rd, possibly a long one. We got a lot. Promising Scholars starts on Thursday. Is that correct? So please enjoy the low traffic for the next day. And then on Thursday, I mean, it won't be as much, but it's going to be some. So I want to say a quick thank you to all of our staff, both in schools and here at the Support Hub. I almost not said Support Hub, but I was like, I got to do it for Dr. Gentry. No, just kidding. It is a lot of work to put together Promising Scholars. It is, in essence, a small school district inside of our big school district. And when I say small, that is not really that small, guys. But it requires a lot of work for all of our staff. And so thank you so much for providing that for our students, whether they are there because of third grade retention, whether they're there for just continuing academics, no matter what grade they're there, transportation, nutrition, the leadership, the school staff, all of it. Thank you so much for letting us provide this. It's a really big thing that we should be very proud of as a board. I like to say that we're the best in the state on it. And so I'm really proud of it, and I thank you, and it starts on Thursday. So again, just letting you know, the buses will be back, and that's why. Next week is the principal landing and splash. And so if you are expecting to see a principal, they will be real busy next week. And that'll be exciting times for all of them. And then lastly, I, of course, enjoyed all of my graduations as well. Natalie Pinson was the valedictorian at Overton. And I just wanted to end with some comments from her speech. So she basically said that each of our stories are different, and so much of our story to this point has been written for us, even our circumstances. But it's now time for us to decide how the story goes. And all that matters is that it continues, and then we continue to push forward. Do not let others tell you that something should be easy because someone else just did it. Not all of us are going into the next stage of life with equal effort. Some of us are walking through a door that others are holding open for us. Some of us are opening that door for ourselves. Some are facing a door that has been barricaded, and some cannot even have a door. I think at monumental times like this, people often like to say that the world is ours, and if we just work hard enough, we can do anything. But I don't think that's a fair statement. Hard work is undeniably important, but it's also about recognizing the systematic challenges and inequities that we all exist. It's about understanding that success isn't just about individual effort. It's about community, collaboration, and creating opportunities for all. So I'm proud of all of us and the work that's being done at the end of the school year to kind of focus on that work. And that, of course, academics are undeniably important, but so are our students as a whole. And so thank you for the director's report today as well. I think that was a great conversation to tie it up. And be no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.